In a quiet, unassuming suburb, there was a park that everyone in the neighborhood knew. It wasn't particularly remarkable, just a small patch of grass, some trees, a playground, and a few scattered benches. But everyone knew about one bench in particular. People said that if you sat there at night, you might meet an old man who had something unsettling about him. Mara was a 19-year-old college student, home for summer break. She'd heard the stories growing up, but she didn't believe in local legends or ghost tales. To her, it was just another piece of childhood myth meant to scare kids. So, one warm summer night, she and her friend Jake decided to test the story. They walked to the park, laughing, rolling their eyes, daring each other to sit on the infamous bench. When they reached it, Mara felt an odd chill, even though the air was warm. The bench was ordinary, rusted, with peeling paint. Still, something felt wrong. "I'll sit," Mara said, smirking at Jake. She took a seat, facing the empty path ahead, expecting nothing. A few minutes passed, and then she noticed an old man walking slowly down the path toward them. He was hunched over, his clothes ragged and worn, a faint odor of mildew and dust wafting in the air as he neared. His face was tired, lined with deep wrinkles, and his eyes looked haunted, almost empty. Mara felt a wave of pity, though she couldn't explain why. She greeted him, trying to break the tension. "Good evening, sir." The old man paused, giving her a sad, penetrating look. "Evening," he said, his voice low and gravelly. Without invitation, he sat down next to her on the bench. Jake gave her a worried look, silently asking if she wanted to leave. But Mara was curious. There was something compelling about him, a strange sadness she couldn't shake. The man took a deep breath. "Do you know why people are afraid to sit here?" he asked, his gaze fixed on the ground. Mara shrugged. "There's some story about a ghost, right?" He chuckled softly, a sound that had no joy in it. "They say a lot of things. They say I'm a ghost, or that I'm cursed. They're not exactly wrong." She wasn't sure if he was joking or if he actually believed it. "What happened?" He sighed, and for a moment, it looked like he was remembering something painful, something heavy. "I had a family once," he began. "A wife, 2 sons, and a daughter. I worked long hours, so I didn't see them much. But I thought I was doing what I was supposed to. Providing, you know?" Mara nodded, feeling an unexpected lump in her throat. "One night, I came home late, too late. They were all asleep, and I didn't even get to kiss my kids goodnight. I thought, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day." His voice cracked, and he looked away, a tear slipping down his cheek. Mara and Jake exchanged glances, both of them uneasy but unable to move. He continued, his voice barely a whisper. "There was no tomorrow. My house caught fire that night, some faulty wiring. By the time I got home, it was too late. My family was gone." Mara's heart ached. She could feel the raw pain in his voice, the agony that seemed to have no end. I'm so sorry," she whispered. The old man nodded, wiping his eyes. "I don't tell you this for sympathy," he said. "I tell you this because I want you to know something. People take time for granted. They think there's always another tomorrow, another chance. But sometimes, there isn't." He stood up, straightening with some effort. "Remember this, young lady. Always make time for the people you love. Don't let a day go by without telling them how much they mean to you." With that, he walked away, disappearing into the darkness. Mara and Jake sat in silence, both of them too shaken to speak. They left the park without another word. The next day, Mara went back to the park. She wanted to find the old man, to thank him, to maybe ask him more about his life. But when she asked around, the park caretaker gave her a strange look. That bench, "No one's seen anyone sitting there for years," he said. "Not since old Mr. Henderson. He used to sit there every night after he lost his family in a house fire, but he passed away years ago." Mara felt a chill run down her spine. She never saw the old man again, but his words stayed with her forever. She made a promise to herself that day to never let the people she loved feel unappreciated, to never let the words, "I'll do it tomorrow," become an excuse. Sometimes, when she felt like taking someone for granted, she'd remember that night, and she'd make the call, or write the message, or take the drive to see them. Because you never know when it might be the last chance.